The Pain of a Black Woman Conference 2012. Still I stand. A word for your storm. Speak life in a death situation. I wasn't in pain, but I was in transition. Salutations. My name is author Tiffany C. Pratt. I was entrusted with a trial, and I made it. I pray this is a blessing to your souls. Remember, you can overcome, for Jesus overcame. May God continually sanction you and your families. God bless. The different types of rape. Rape. The act of plunder, violent seizure, or abuse. Despolation, violation. Statutory rape. The unlawful compelling of a person through physical force or duress to have sexual intercourse. There is physical rape, emotional rape, mental rape, financial rape, generational rapes, and spiritual rapes. Know your rape. There is life after the rape. I recovered it all. I went out as the hunter, but ended up the prey. I was abducted and raped, and here I lay. I've been violated and I can't move. He took my scepter, now how can I rule? This seems so hard to perceive. After years of self-defense training, I was so naive. I was trained to stay at attention, but I reclined to at ease. When I let down my guard, he attacked and seized. I knew I was forbidden to eat out of the enemy's hands, but he cooked up an aroma from which I couldn't withstand. I was seduced by desire, and temptation brought the plate. I had no sense of table etiquette, so like a fool I ate. There was no longer a code of conduct, for I had just broken all the rules and forfeited my own creed. I entered into this thing on a peace treaty. With my blood I did sign. I shared good with the enemies. I drank unholy wine. He had my heart, and I never even had his hand. I was a link in his chain, but to me he was my man. My overseer got wind of this and summons me back home. She told me where I laid my head, I didn't belong. Obedience is better than sacrifice, and that was my first mistake. I decided to take my own chances and to make my own fate. So I surrendered, and I broke bread with the king. I entered into his courts, and he carried me into his wing. I went behind the veil with him, and his seed he did sow. I was not aware at the moment, but the seed began to grow. He caressed me and redressed me, but raped me with a kiss. After I surrendered all I had, I was dismissed. I was free to go, for there was no longer a need for me. When I fellowshiped with him, that's when I had signed the deed. So he divided and conquered and possessed my land. There was nothing that I could do, for it was out of my hands. I was homeless, and refuge I did plead, but he changed the laws and evicted me. Exposed with no protection, I was held captive and taken to a foreign land. I had to learn how to hunt beyond the way I felt if I expected a lengthy lifespan. Round and around again I go, for now we had to eat. But I quickly discovered there was no shelter nor no meat. So just like the prodigal son, I had to return back home. Just to discover, I would have to stand alone. I was beaten by I told you so, and had to face unimaginable fears. My self-inflicted pain brought me to tears. Now with the child that grows inside of me, what will I do? Until I was shocked beyond belief and found out that they were too. It began to rain in my life, and time didn't sit still. 9 months was here before I knew it, and there was yet more to be revealed. I went back to look for the king, to show him what I conceived, a son to carry his name, and an heiress to follow behind. But he laughed at me and told me that I was drunk off of honey wine. No child support. Hagar was put away better than me. At least Abraham put water and rations on her shoulder as she went away from thee. But this man wouldn't even list my children's names on the family tree. The weight grew heavy, for his successor sit on my right side, and his heiress sat on my left. I was determined to make it, so the world could see. I may have gotten raped, but there was more left to me. Sometimes it's hard to see the sunshine when you're standing in the rain. To add insult to injury, I had to endure the pain and carry the load. I had to wrestle with an umbrella that wouldn't unfold. It's hard to make a stand when your rain boots got holes. It was hard for me to settle down when I never even got a chance to unpack. It was kind of difficult to keep moving because the weight rested upon my back. Broken was the best state for me. That's when God began to work. I had to go through to get to. I quickly learned if I complain, then I will remain. God didn't get me out, but he got into this thing with me. There was a purpose in my pain that I couldn't see. God was getting ready to use my hurt to sanction me. When I left the world, the devil cried, "What? You didn't expect to see a tear in his eye?" My praise mystified the devil and threw him off key. And since I didn't exalt him, he would try to eradicate me. Since he couldn't get me in the wash, he tried to get me in the rinse. But I pulled out some shouted out, and I praised God like I didn't have no sense. Locked doors became open doors, and ways were made out of no way. Blessed was me because I believed, and there did become a performance that day. I didn't pay for it, but I praised for it, and I got everything that was due to me. God showed up late just to be on time, and it blew my mind. God was the lifter of my head. If it wasn't for him, I would be dead. God didn't allow my enemy to see me cry, and he didn't eradicate him, for he was needed for the prophecy to be fulfilled. God allowed him to stay around long enough just to show him who was the real deal. God spoke one word, and my situation did change. My life was rearranged. My scepter was returned, and I got back my deed and more, for God had evened the score. The blessings was no longer postponed, and the prophecy was fulfilled. God made my enemies give me retro back pay and put my children in his will. Give me back my scepter. I know my God hears me. I know it seems impossible, but it's tangible. I know spectators await my fall and utter that I have set my goals too high. They predict that I won't achieve them, but the devil is a lie. I am a woman of God, and I will have what I decree. God mandates you to move over. You've just been impeached. I'm reclaiming stolen territory. I'm taking it back by force. Give me back my scepter. You have no other choice. And yet still, I stand.